Hello and welcome to Positively United. Today, Wednesday, the 25th of February, 2026. And on tonight's video, I want to talk about the kind of player we want to join Manchester United in the summer transfer window. And I don't mean, do we need two midfielders? Do we need a left back? Do we need a right back? Do we need a left winger? Do we need a reserve striker? I don't mean that. I mean the kind of player, the character of the player that comes to Manchester United. So what do I mean? Well, I've heard stories, I'm sure you have too, across social media, maybe even some traditional media channels over the last few days, about the likelihood of Manchester United getting Elliot Anderson as a signing in the transfer window. There's been plenty of stories over the last couple of days that Elliot Anderson is Manchester United's first choice of midfielder to replace Casemiro. By the way, let me just recap on what I think United will do this summer. I absolutely am convinced they will not buy two top draw midfielders. By which I mean, if you take, for example, the list which is now most often trotted out of Baleba, Elliot Anderson, Tonali, Wharton, I absolutely don't believe that we'll buy two of those players. And I think it's a fantasy to think that we will. The reason I think it is so unlikely is this. Imagine we go to Elliot Anderson, and I'll have more to say about him in just a moment. But let's just imagine that we need to really prize him away from Manchester City. That he's angling towards City at the moment, but he might come to United, and we really want to persuade him to come. So we say to him, come over and join us, Elliot. You know, look at the prestige we have, look at the fans we have, look at the history we have, look at the tradition we have, look at what it means to be Manchester United. And Elliot Anderson says, I understand all that, and actually it is really attractive. But I do have to think about my career. Am I going to be playing? And we said, of course you are. Casemiro is leaving. There's an Elliot Anderson-shaped space in our team. Please fill it. So he does. But remember, according to some people, we're going to buy two of these top rank midfielders. So let's just imagine the next one we go to is, well, let's not use Carlos Baleba because some people think he isn't even top rank anymore. So let's think about Tonali, which people have become very interested in over the last few days. So let's imagine that Tonali gives up on Newcastle because they haven't qualified for the Champions League. I'll come to that in just a moment. And we try and persuade him to come to Manchester United. And we say, Tonali, we really want you to join Man United. Great. We've got prestige and history and heritage and the DNA of Manchester United. I agree. I'm really thinking of coming to United. Am I going to play? Yes, Tonali, you're going to play every game. In those circumstances, we've promised Elliot Anderson he's going to play every game, and we've promised Tonali he's going to play every game. So who makes way? Because it's only Casemiro who's leaving. It's not Kobe Mainoo who's leaving. Now, Ugarte might leave, but are we seriously thinking that one of the two players I've just mentioned, Tonali or Elliot Anderson's a replacement for Ugarte? And Ugarte's on the bench. He hardly ever plays. So if you believe we're going to buy Elliot Anderson and we're going to buy Tonali and they're both going to play, what you're essentially saying, even if you don't want to say it or you don't realise it, is that you're going to bench Kobe Mainoo. Now, we know what happens if you bench Kobe Mainoo. He wants to leave. So, sorry, we're not going to buy two of those top-ranked midfielders because it would just make life really, really complicated for whoever the new head coach might be. You're not going to keep those three players or similar players happy if they're not going to rotate. Two of them are going to want to play game in, game out in the Premier League and the Champions League if we're there. And the other player's not going to be terribly happy playing only FA Cup and League Cup games, especially if we get booted out early. So it's not going to happen. We're going to buy a top-ranked midfielder and then a kind of like a tier below. We're going to talk about it in money terms. We're going to spend 70 to 100 million pounds on one of them, and we're going to spend somewhere like 40 to 50 million pounds probably on the other one. But we're not going to get 2 at 100 or 2 at 80 or 2 at 75. It's just not going to happen. Now, it seems that if the recent reports are to be believed, Manchester United's favourite for that elite midfield role, the Casemiro replacement, is Elliot Anderson. But also, particular social media are full of rumours that Elliot Anderson, at the moment, wants to join City. And then this argument is put forward. He'll consider joining United if United qualify for the Champions League. And this is where I have a problem, and a big problem. Last summer, United had an absolutely excellent transfer window. Cunha, Mbeumo, Šeško, Rumours. Best transfer window we've had in at least a decade, probably longer. Because remember, our summer transfer windows, even in Ferguson's last days, were not great. A game against Everton on Monday night, our winner, in an absolutely dour and awful game, came from 3 of those new signings. Cunha with that fantastic long switch pass over to Mbeumo. Mbeumo's brilliant control and ease and poise on the ball to lay it off to Šeško, who still had a lot of work to do but did it so well and scored the goal. 3 of our summer signings. And the other summer signing, Rumours, was not going to be left out. He was man of the match. Commanded his area against all those brutal corners. Those rugby-style corners that Everton inflicted on us. So all of our summer signings were magnificent in that game. They won the game for us. Rumours stopped us conceding goals. Cunha, Mbeumo and Šeško made sure we scored 1 to win the game. Now let's have a look at Cunha and let's have a look at Mbeumo, shall we? Because they could have chosen to go anywhere, I reckon, last summer. We know that Mbeumo was wanted by Tottenham. And that negotiation with Brentford went on all summer. That was a negotiation that was ripe for another club to move in and steal it from us. But you know what? It was never even a danger. Because Mbeumo only wanted to come to one club, Manchester United. And it did not bother him that he was joining a club that only a month or 2 earlier had been humiliated in the Europa League final by Tottenham and had missed out on European football as a consequence. He joined a club that he knew full well was not in Europe and was in a phase of rebuilding. Mbeumo joined United to be part of the process that gets us back into the Champions League. Same true for Cunha. Cunha signed even earlier. Cunha is a magnificent player. He'd had a magnificent season with Wolves. He could have had, I think, the choice of Premier League top clubs. Could have gone to Liverpool, could have gone to City, could have gone to Arsenal, could have gone to Chelsea. I'm sure all those would have taken him. Again, not an option, because Cunha wanted to come to Manchester United. It was his first and only choice. So in Cunha and in Mbeumo, we got 2 players who put their desire to play for Manchester United above Manchester United's current plight and current position. Now, if the stories about Elliot Anderson are to be believed, it's not the case with Elliot Anderson. Now, granted the reports might be wrong. I kind of hope they are. But if they're not, and it's true that Elliot Anderson is only really willing to consider Manchester United if we've qualified for the Champions League, I'd say, bye-bye, Elliot. Join Stockport City. If that's where your standards are, That's fine. We understand, but join Stockport City. If you're willing to turn down Manchester United for the easy allure of Man City, that's your business. But we'd prefer players that really want to join us. Now, as I said, I might be being really, really unfair on Elliot Anderson. This might be all paper talk. It might be all social media rumour. But I say again, if it isn't, I don't want him at United. I only want players at United who want to be here. And we have got plenty of evidence from players in the recent past that we should be very, very wary of signing players on whose motives are not motives of doing their best for Manchester United, but are instead, where can I put myself on the biggest stage so I can shine, so that I can take the limelight? One of the things that's impressed me the most about Cunha and Mbeumo and now Šeško is how willing they are to subvert their own needs, their own ego, into the greater Manchester United team's ego. The way Cunha worked back on Monday night to defend, those scenes where he's like, full of pumping the air with absolute pleasure that he's won a ball near his own corner flag against Jimmy Garner. It's amazing to see that. That's exactly the passion we want at Manchester United. It's what we've been missing for years. And I want players who feel like that about United. So I just say this. I know nobody from Ineos is watching, but if they were, but I'm sure that this is in their mind, because it obviously was last summer. You could tell by the players they targeted. They targeted players who wanted to come. Buy players, not just on ability. The ability is really important, but also buy players on attitude, on whether you feel they care about this club, they want to be here, that being here for them is something special, because it ought to be. This isn't Manchester City. It really isn't. It's Manchester United. And that should mean something. It should mean more than whether we're in the Champions League one season or not. Okay, that's really all I wanted to say in this video. But it was heartfelt. I really mean it. I really mean it. Get players who want to be here. And they'll work their socks off for this club if you do so. We see that with Cunha and Mbeumo. I think we see it with Šeško. I really do. It's worth a lot. It's not as important as skill, but it's really important. It's part of the totality of what makes a player really special at this club. It helps, by the way. I'm absolutely certain it helps a player adapt to the unusual pressures there are when playing for this club. Okay. If you like what I do on this channel, by the way, I will be addressing in a future video the financial results for Manchester United that have come out today. I just want to take a little bit of time to fully absorb them and take them in. I don't want to do a rush report on them, because there's a bit of good and there's a bit of bad. And you can almost choose the channel about what message you get. If you go to one particular YouTube channel, it'll all be about the bad. If you go to some others, it'll all possibly be about the good. I want to do something a little bit more balanced if I can. So I'll do that probably tomorrow. So I'm not running away from the issue. I will look at the finances very, very soon. But if you like what I do on the channel, if you'd like this video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. It really, really helps the channel break through to new viewers. The algorithms push channels that are growing. If you've got a friend who you think might appreciate the kind of stance I take on this channel, please let them know about it and encourage them to become a subscriber too. Hit the bell and then you'll be told about future upcoming videos when they're released. Another place where I let you know there's a video that's been launched is on X, and I post about other things on X too. So please follow me on X. The link is in the description. If you want to contribute to anything, to upping the tech or upping the graphics or upping the promotion that we can do for this channel, got a coffee account. If you want to make a contribution, anything, however small, would be gratefully received. But until we meet next time, it might be about I might be a video about the finances, or that might be a day or two ahead. Who knows? But hopefully I'll get a video out tomorrow. Until then, remember to be positively united, especially if you're a player that's joining us.